Let's talk with your host, Reggie B. Come on, let's all join in. Free your voice, it's your choice, alright here. Oh, Simply Straight Talk.
Hello to every one of our Simply Straight Talk listeners. Are you ready to free your mind and free your voice? Well, you're listening to the right podcast. So let's get this real talk started with your host, Reggie Maddox.
Yo, 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 what's good, people? You're listening to the sultry, sexy voice of Angelique Franklin. Welcome to the Simply Straight Talk podcast. Yes, poor old Reggie has let me take it over again. That's right, Reggie's not here right now. All right, I'm lying. Say hello, Reggie. He's here. Say hello. Say wagwan to the people.
Hello, people. Hello. They loved it the last time.
Oh, okay. Let's see if they like it this time. Probably not so much. You shouldn't have let me in, people. I'm like that house guest that won't leave. I've set up residency on the Simply Straight Talk podcast. And yeah, Reggie's very kindly let me take over again today. Have you not?
I sure have.
Well, not so much. It's a co-creation. You know,
go.
it's not me just talking at Reggie while the poor guy just sits there like, will she ever shut up? But yeah, he let me kind of pick the topic for today, and then I added an additional topic. So it's a 2-for-1-er. Whoop, whoop. There you go. I had to do my whoop, whoop. There you go. And we're recording this on a Friday, aka Friday, which is my happiest day of the week. It's my favorite day. But yeah, today's topic, that was my drum beat, drum roll, is about shame and forgiveness. Ooh. See, Reggie knows. He's a pro at this. He did the appropriate noise, and I didn't even have to tell him. I sound way too excited to be talking about such a taboo subject. Oh my God, shame and forgiveness. I'm so excited. What? Is she okay? It might be all the super glue. Basically, just for warning, I don't mean I've sniffed super glue. I mean that I just tried to glue my magnets together and I accidentally got it covered in it. Yeah. I'm now covered in super glue, people. Yeah, I'm trying not to glue my hands to my face. It's not working out. But anyway, keeping on track. Shame and forgiveness. They're a bit of a taboo subject, right? Aren't they? They're like touchy subjects, wouldn't you say?
They really are, because it means really dealing deep with your feelings.
Those things. Feelings.
Yes.
Ooh, are you Reggie? Are you Reggie? Are you ready, Reggie? Is what I meant. The glue,
I am ready.
To talk about your feelings.
Oh.
Yeah. You was like, wait, hold on. No, I didn't sign up for that shit. No, but it's hard. Like, so in your mind, when you hear the word, because I did this last time, but when you hear the word forgiveness, what does that mean to you if you think of the word forgiveness?
Forgiveness, I start to think about mainly like the hurt. I think about something that hurt me or something that bothered me. Okay. And like it's the expectation of either I'm wanting forgiveness or somebody needs to forgive me. Okay.
Yeah, I guess it is. It's part of. Do I think that when I hear the word forgiveness? I think no. Personally, myself, I don't think of the transgression necessarily. I think of forgiveness more as a gift, sort of thing, like an act of release for the individual giving it and the one receiving it. I also think it's something that's very rarely given, like truly. Like, authentically. I think people say, yeah, I forgive you, but they don't. They still hold on to it. Do you see what I mean?
That is true.
Because I think to forgive is to genuinely let go, wholeheartedly let go. You know what I mean? That doesn't necessarily mean you forget, because you can't suddenly wipe out your memory, but it does mean that you kind of let it rest in peace, effectively.
And I think that's the hard part for people, because
yeah,
like when you say you totally forgive somebody, and if that person walks in a room or you see that person, do you start to get those feelings of like, you know what? You did this to me. I want to smack the hell out of you right now. You know? So
oh, I wish you would. Yeah, it's true. Forgiveness is a funny one. Mainly because I think, like I said, it's more of a gift to the individual who's doing the forgiving than the one who receives it, often more than not. because to give the gift of forgiveness, whether that's to yourself or someone else, it is a gift to you. Do you know what I mean? The one who's doing the forgiving, because like I said, forgiveness is a way to let go, and it's necessary, because I think if you don't let go of it, you harbor whatever that transgression was, whatever that traumatic moment was, and it's you that carries it around. Do you know what I mean? And possibly the other person who was involved as well, depending if they actually give a shit or not. Do you know what I mean? Like, some people do what they do, and it's like, yep, I'm copacetic. Let's keep it moving. It's like, what? Is it just me that's traumatized? Like, there are generally some people that are like, you know what I mean, are able to clear their conscience and just get on with, keep it moving. Would you say you find it easy to forgive?
Yeah.
Lies.
For me, I think there's probably like levels. Like,
Okay.
I think I can forgive somebody, but that's not to say that the friendship or the relationship is going to be the same after that. Like, I might be cordial with you, but it's still going to be like, you know, I don't trust you because of what you did, or I can't really, you know, confide in you. So I might kind of keep you at a distance. You know, so I guess it's in a way that's sort of like a half forgiveness.
Yeah, it's a conditional forgiveness, I guess.
Yeah, because there's now sort of a wall being put up. Because I don't want to experience that again. Like, I can't trust you. You might do that again.
This is the thing about human beings, isn't it? Like, I think we often forget, myself included, that none of us are perfect, we're fallible. And plot spoiler, we're all going to fuck up and make mistakes continuously throughout our lifetime, especially if you're not paying attention and learning. But even when you are, I think every day is a learning process, right? Just because that you reach a level of adulthood, that doesn't suddenly mean you're downloaded with this information that means you're a perfect human being now, and you're going to act accordingly. So I think we forget that when we forgive someone, because you made a good point about, okay, I forgive you, but I'm not sure if I trust you because you might hurt me again. And the fact of the matter is, the person probably will hurt you again in some way or another, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're doing it intentionally or maliciously. I mean, it's different if you can tell they are. Then yeah, maybe that's someone you shouldn't keep in your life. But I think you have to kind of remember that human beings, we're fallible, man. And there are going to be times when, whether it's like on a big scale or smaller scale, you're going to end up stepping on people's toes and feelings. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's something you have to remember when you're kind of giving out forgiveness. Easier said than done, though. Just make that very clear. Like, it's all well and good me saying it, but it's easier said to, like, it's easier to practice. You know what I mean? To say than to practice.
It is, and I think the person who's asking for forgiveness has to realize that you now have to rebuild that relationship. So
Yeah.
you know, they may forgive you, but it may just take a little time.
Yeah.
So you're gonna have to be patient and kind of going in that direction. Because I know when I was younger, I was kind of like, you know, if I did something to somebody, it's like, okay, you forgave me, so we're like back to normal now. You know, it's like, I'm the one who did the stupid act, but I'm expecting you to just be like old times, nothing never happened. So I think you gotta kind of be mindful of that. It's like, okay, they said they forgive me, I have to rebuild that trust. And you know, sometimes we just want everything to go, like, we want them to forget about, like, no, it never happened. Don't worry about it. It never happened. Mind Jedi. It never happened.
These are not the droids you are seeking.
No.
It's like, no, motherfucker, that shit did actually happen. I was there. Yeah, I think it takes patience on both parts, especially for the person, obviously, who maybe hurt the individual. It also takes sort of, it takes time, and but I feel like if you're going to forgive someone and you're going to receive the forgiveness and it's all genuine on both sides, there then needs to be a level of kind of openness and willingness to try to rebuild. Because sometimes people can offer forgiveness, for instance, in a relationship, and you say, all right, I forgive you. But then you're constantly monitoring them, or you're constantly doubting them. And it's like, you can't rebuild from a place of complete distrust. You have to kind of both go out on a limb here. Because at the end of the day, like, let's talk in relationship terms, like intimate relationships. Okay. You're both putting your heart equally on the line, even the person maybe who hurt the other person. Because you don't know if that person might want to get petty and get their own back on you. or do you know what I mean? They might do something just to feel like get even. So like there needs to be a level of openness when you're rebuilding the relationship to say, okay, we're going to try clean slate this and we're going to work together on this and we're going to have patience for each other and ourselves. Do you know what I mean? But there's no good you saying I forgive you, but then you're monitoring their phone. Do you know what I mean? You're bringing up old stuff or you're rehashing it whenever you're feeling triggered. It's a hard thing to rebuild something, you know?
It really is. I think you hit on a great point. It's like, if you do tell somebody you forgive them, don't keep throwing it back in their face.
Yeah.
You know, because if you're going to keep doing that, then just be honest and say, like, either you don't want the relationship, but to keep throwing it back in their face, for one, it's hurtful for them. They already feel bad that they hurt you.
Yeah.
You know, and then for you to try to like, oh, you did this, remember? You know, who are you on the phone with?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, being monitored by Big Brother. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And the thing is, it causes more further cracks. And I get it. You know what I mean? I'm no angel, and I've definitely, you know, unfortunately hurt loved ones and people very close to me. And it is a hard place because, again, linking back to the title of this episode, shame. Like when you're the person who's hurt someone that you truly love and you truly regret what you've done, you carry a level of shame. And if the other person, while you're trying to rebuild the relationship, is throwing it back in your face, it's a very toxic situation. Do you know what I mean? And you can't rebuild. You can't build from there. So I think you made a good point about if you genuinely feel you cannot really forgive or you cannot get over or learn to let go of the transgression, you need to be honest about that, because then you're doing yourself a favor and that other individual. Like, set both of you free. Because if you're just holding on because a part of you still does love the person, but you can't get over it, it's toxic. Eventually, you're just going to end up crumbling it completely, like decimating what's left of the relationship.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
It's hard.
It is. And I think you're doing more damage to the other person. Like, if you are telling somebody that I forgive you, but you're throwing it back in, you're going to make that person start to question their self-worth. You're going to make them start to question their confidence in themselves.
Yeah.
And it's just, like you said, you're creating a toxic relationship between the two of you, but also their mind. You're killing them mentally.
Yeah.
You know, they don't know what to do with themselves. And the shame of it, of like, you know, people already feel, when you do something like that and people know, you know, whatever the situation is, and people know that you hurt somebody, a family member, a friend, whatever, you know, whenever you come around, those eyes are on you, and your mind is already thinking, okay, what are they thinking about me? What are they thinking?
Yeah.
It's a lot of pressure.
Oh, hell yeah. And I can definitely speak from first-hand experience for myself. You know, I'm not going to sit here and chat my business, but, you know, it's like I've definitely been in that situation, and it's not easy because you want to make sure that the people understand that you regret it and that you're repentant for what you've done. But then, you know, sometimes there can be a line when you're bending over backwards too much to appear like, oh, I'm so repentant, and you're punishing yourself to appease someone else or other people's opinions about what you have done. Do you see what I mean? And it's a very fine line to manage, because you don't want to act like you're callous and you're heartless and you've just suddenly moved on and you don't care about the mistakes you made. But at the same time, like, you know, like there's two extremes of any end of anything, right? So you don't want to be that end, and you also don't want to be the other end where you're completely bending over backwards now. And like you said, the person wants to monitor your phone, wants to know exactly, and you're giving into all of that. Neither end is healthy. You've got to find a balance between admitting you're wrong, genuinely apologizing it, genuinely trying to make amends and rebuild the trust, but also making sure that you know your self-worth and never let someone hold something like a mistake against you, because we all make mistakes. All of us. Do you see what I mean? And it's remembering that to let you know you're only human. And you know what I mean? So long as you truly learn from your mistakes and try and grow from them, that's the best that you can do. You know what I mean? In adulthood, and let that be enough, and hold that. Don't let it question your self-worth, if that makes any sense.
No, that makes perfect sense. I mean, because you said that we all make mistakes. We do. I am by no means, although I may say it, but I know it's not true.
Bullshit. Oh, what was that cough in my throat? Did I say bullshit? Sorry, listeners. Let me drink my water.
You know, we're not perfect. And I know I've hurt people that I cared about, that was friends, relationships. I know we've all done it.
Yeah.
And I made the mistake of punishing myself. And you'll punish yourself so bad trying to make that one person care about you and forgive you, trying to make the people who know about the situation believe in you.
Yeah.
I was doing some of the most dumbest things just to feel accepted by these people. Until I come to realize, like, why in the hell why am I doing this? It's like, and you're putting yourself out of place. You're getting out of character. You know, you're not even allowed to be yourself anymore because now you're trying to be an image or whatever they portray you to be. You're trying to reflect that back to them. So you're losing yourself over forgiveness from people who you probably really don't even need it from.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's like, you know, you made some amazing points. You lose yourself. You start acting other than yourself, out of character, all in the name of appeasing someone else and appearing like now you're a saint. You've gone from supposedly being a sinner to a saint. And it's like, what? And no one can maintain those standards. No one can be on like best behavior all day, every day, because you're human, like I said, like, and so you end up putting yourself in a very pressurized, caged situation. And that's not fair also to the other individual that you're trying to work, like build back the trust with as well, because they're not seeing the real you then. Because now you're putting on this perfect front that, okay, I never make mistakes, I'm never going to hurt you again. That's not fair to that other individual.
Exactly.
You're creating a false representation of yourself. And then the moment you eventually slip up and come, oh, wait, human and yourself again, it's going to cause a level of distrust again. It's like, what, so he was lying this whole time, pretending to be this other person? And it's like, no, I was just trying to please you because I was scared I'd hurt you and I didn't want to hurt you. See what I mean? And it's like, it's a very vicious circle when you do that. And it's not an easy line to walk on, like it's a tightrope to walk on. It's hard. You know, when you said the whole wanting to be accepted, remember I spoke to you, obviously the listeners don't know, but in our conversation I told you about the whole how the human brain works and wanting to kind of survive in the pack.
Yeah.
So I just want to say that again because my life coach really drummed that into me, and it was pivotal for me in maybe working on my own inner shame and making sure that I manage the balance between admitting that I've done something wrong and working to rebuild and making sure that I didn't lose myself. Was that he said, you know, sorry, I thought my line cut off there. Like, you went completely blank as I was talking. I was like, hello, Reggie, are you still there? He's still there. So what he taught me was this, because he was like a science guy and I loved it. So he said human beings back in the prehistoric days, caveman days, you know, we all wanted to roll together. The way you kept safe was safety in numbers. And it's how our brain is innately wired. Our brain is wired to keep us safe. Not happy, safe. It doesn't care about your emotional needs. It cares about your physical safety, well-being sort of needs. So back when the saber-toothed tigers were roaming the land, you stayed in the crew. And the ultimate kind of worst thing that could happen to you as a human being was to be kicked out of the pack, the crew. That equaled death, because one man on his own trying to fight saber-toothed tigers and mammoth beasts and all these things was basically a one-way ticket to Deathville. Move that forward to now, present day. We don't have those type of dangers, but our brain is still always on the lookout for dangers. And what our dangers now is not saber-toothed tigers, but emotional traumas and emotional dangers. And so we're always trying to constantly fit in with society. So when you've done something wrong and you've made a mistake and you're shunned from your group of friends or you're shunned from a close-knit unit, your brain doesn't know how to cope with that, and you go into shutdown mode. And shame is the equivalent of our saber-toothed tiger, because we don't know how to deal with shame. It's like this dangerous beast that lurks, that you don't want to talk about, don't deal with, hide from it, do whatever you need to do to fit in and be accepted, like you said, by other people. So if that means bending over backwards and acting out of character so that you don't have to deal with your shame, that is what we do. And the problem with that is that you're losing all touch of yourself, like you said. But it's kind of like knowing that about how the brain works, but also making sure that you don't give in to that need to fit in at the detriment of your sense of self-worth.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. The fact that we're not taught as coming up as kids how to deal with it. It's like, you know, we said it before. It's like when you turn 18, it's like, okay, get out the house. You know, and even when you're younger, it's like, oh, I feel this way. Oh, get over it. You know, it'll be all right. Grow up, man up.
Yeah.
You know, instead of actually teaching from a young age teaching people how to deal with the fact when you do feel shame about something, how that impacts you of other people's thoughts, peer pressure, you know, and it's tough because when you get older, it doesn't get easier. You know?
It gets worse, especially if it's a compound effect, isn't it?
Yeah. It doesn't get easy as you get older because you start to have more relationships. Now you're dealing with the work environment. So you got all these different things to where you're interacting with all these different people. So different conflicts arise. Some is their fault. Some is your fault. So now you got the whole forgiveness and shame thing around you 24/7. How do you manage it all so that you can live your life with a peace of mind and not always feeling like we said, you know, you got to step out of character to where you can be happy and not just kind of stuck in a bubble or a vicious circle of just like, okay, if this person doesn't forgive me, so what am I going to do now? You know, or are you on the other end of that, the type of person like, well, you know what? I'm not going to forgive you until you do this. And then the other person's like, you know, I really don't care. Have a good life.
Yeah, it's like you've got to manage the middle somewhere, isn't it? It's like, yeah, and you make a good point about the fact that it doesn't get any easier when you get older because you're just building unhealthy habit on top of unhealthy habit when it comes to how do you deal with shame, because you were never taught. Like most people weren't taught, because again, talking about emotions. Oh, that's a saber-toothed tiger in the room. Oh, make it go away. Oh no, danger. Like you said, man up. Deal with it. Get over it. We don't talk about that. No. Messy. Dangerous territory. Icky. Because the thing is, when you talk about someone else's shame, it brings up your own shame. Like, it's very hard to sit in a conversation with someone and then tell you about something they're embarrassed about, ashamed about, without you now thinking about maybe stuff that you've done. And people will get mad at you, like, how dare you bring your shame to my table? That's going to make me talk about my shame. I don't want to talk about my shame. So we're not going to talk about it at all. And everyone wants to shut those type of conversations down when they don't realize that all you're doing is just putting stuff in boxes that eventually will implode within you at some point. And it's usually a very inopportune moment. Do you know what I mean? Like when you're giving a presentation in front of your boss and the board of members. Do you know what I mean? And it's like then you just have a freak out and you just explode and have an emotional breakdown in a very kind of like not ideal moment. And like I feel I've been working a lot on shame personally myself, and kind of self-forgiveness, because it's all very nice for you saying the word, I forgive myself. Oh, I forgive. It's all very airy fairy. It's lovely, isn't it, to hear that? Oh, I forgive myself. But that doesn't mean shit if you don't actually receive it within yourself. And the fact is, how do you receive it if you've not been taught how to receive it? If it's not been demonstrated? And I think the demonstration of self-forgiveness is a form of self-love. And as we all know, self-love that is in very small supply in current society. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, exactly.
You know, I mean, everything does always boil down to that good old self-love. If you don't love yourself genuinely, wholeheartedly, unconditionally, and the key word in that is unconditionally, that means you have to accept the fact that you're fallible, the fact that, yes, you've made these mistakes, that, yes, you've hurt other people and you've hurt yourself, but that doesn't make you any less worthy of living a life full of love and joy and abundance. Just because you made a mistake doesn't mean now you need to be exiled out to the Sahara Desert. Do you know what I mean? Along with the other lepers of society. Like, no, it's okay. You pick yourself up, you dust yourself off, and you learn. But you have to kind of talk to yourself with compassion. And compassion, Reggie, compassion in today's society is in short supply.
Oh, yes.
Hey, we out here shaming everybody. You've got slut shaming, body shaming, sex shaming. Like, there's so much shaming going on to other people. Where's the compassion, my friend?
I don't. It's so public now. I mean, it's almost being taught to shame other people as a way of life.
Yeah, to get them to change. Let's shame them into change.
It is.
Let's shame them into conformity. Yes. Like, what?
And that's what it is. I mean, when we see it, anytime elections come up, it is it's almost up to a whole year of nothing but shaming each other.
Dragging out the skeletons from the closet, right?
Yeah. It is. It's like attack, shame somebody. And it's even with celebrities now, it's like attack somebody on social media, shame them.
Yeah.
And now we got people who actually get on social media just to attack and shame people that they don't even know.
Right. Yeah.
So, yeah, and we're not taught. And a lot of us, we learn how to deal with conflict and shame based on what we see in our homes.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, my home was the worst example of that. You know, as far as like how my parents dealt with it. So me seeing how my mother and the man's name who's on my birth certificate, how they...
He who shall not be named, like Voldemort. Harry Potter.
You know,
Man's name on website. Man talked about him like he was Voldemort, you know. Shh, don't say his name. Shit. That guy, that dude, yes, that man.
Yeah, that one. You know, seeing how they dealt with conflict. And now that I'm older, I look back, it was like, wow, that is such a horrible way of dealing with conflict. So that's why when I came out, you know, and was like getting older, I didn't know how to deal with it. I didn't know how to deal with, you know, shame. I didn't know how to deal with, you know, forgiveness, because watching what I was seeing in the home, there was no forgiveness. It was all shame.
Yeah.
You know, they would fight, argue, physical fight, argue.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like, so that's what we do. And the man, and it's typical for men, to be honest, it's like, okay, I'm leaving. You know?
Yeah.
Or just shut down.
Oh, that's the other. I was literally just thinking that.
Yeah.
I feel like the most common reactions to conflict and shame is blame, shut down, or just ignoring, to be honest. Like people either blame you for, like, if you, like, for instance, you talk about something that you've done wrong, or you feel someone's done wrong, it is a blame game. Oh, it's your fault. You did it. They did it. Or it's the shut down, where it's like, I don't want to talk about this. Or the ignoring, they just literally ignore what you spoke about and try to change the subject. You know what I mean? And so, because like I said, someone else's shame makes us feel uncomfortable, because it highlights, one, that we're fallible, and highlights maybe our own transgressions that we often want to keep in the closet. Keep it in the closet. Sorry, it just made me think of Michael Jackson's song.
I was thinking the same thing.
About you, baby. I don't know why that's not the right song for this conversation. Keep it in the closet. Because it's made me think about that Michael Jackson dance game, you know, on the Wii.
Oh, yeah.
About you, baby. All right, stop, Angie. I'm actually like here breaking. If you guys can see me, I'm like dancing at my desk right now. Shoulder shrugging. Bring it back, Angie. Okay. Yes, makes people want to put it in the closet, you know what I mean? And not to deal with it, but it's not healthy. Like, an author that I would recommend to your listeners and to anybody, to be honest, who was pivotal for me in being able to look shame right in the eye, Reggie, and give it the middle finger, was Brene Brown, Dr. Brene Brown books. Listen to any of her books. I'm an Audible fan. Like, I prefer audiobooks than reading them, that kind of book, personally myself. But whether you read or listen to it, check out her work, Daring Greatly. I can't remember any of her other stuff now. I've read quite a few of her books, but Brene Brown's, like, she is a researcher specifically in shame. And she talks about a thing called your shame gremlins. Do you know what a shame gremlin is, Reggie?
Yeah, what is that?
We've all got them. She's named them shame gremlins, but basically that's that little insidious voice in your mind that goes, you ain't worth shit. See, you fucked up again. You made that mistake. Look what you did. You're always making mistakes. Oh, you're worth nothing. That voice who picks on you, that over and over again repeatedly in your head. Sometimes it's loud, sometimes it's quiet, sometimes it pops out after midnight. That's why it's called gremlins, because it tends to come out when it's you by yourself in the dark. So when I read her book, I realized how many of those I had. Sometimes around small, minor little things, and then obviously the bigger things that I've made mistakes on, and they eat away at you because you feed them by ignoring them, by validating them, by, like you said, bending over backwards to appease other people too much. That's how you feed your shame gremlins, and they just become this thing that's like hanging on your shoulder, weighing you down. And I feel like if you don't apply some compassion to yourself, and also compassion to other people, because when you forgive someone truly, I read it in, I think it's her book or someone else's. When you truly forgive, you have to do it from an unconditional place, in the sense like, put yourself in the other person's shoes, not just your own of this is what they did to me, but look at maybe why they did what they did. There's always a story and a reason why behind people do what they do. Even if you necessarily wouldn't have done that yourself, we've all been in situations where maybe we've acted other than ourselves or done something out of because it's triggered a pain or it's because of an insecurity. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
And when you truly forgive someone, you have to do it from a place of not just looking at from your own perspective, but from their perspective. Because when you do that, you're applying compassion. And I think when you apply true compassion, you're able to forgive the other person, because compassion means I see you, I get you. You're like me. You're just as fallible. You're just as confused. You're just as like out here trying to figure life out as me. Fair enough. Okay. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? That's what real forgiveness is meant to be. But I feel like I said, people sling around the word forgiveness and don't actually really mean it. Yeah, I forgive you, motherfucker. I wish you would do it again. I'm going to get my own back. Do you know what I mean? Most people, I think, link forgiveness with the word like revenge or get back.
Oh, wow. Yes.
Yeah. Or one-upmanship. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, you make a great point, because some people will offer their forgiveness, but it's with a plan of like, oh, they're going to pay. It's like, they're going to pay. Yeah, I'm going to befriend you, but my intentions is to become a spy and attack you.
Yeah. It's very toxic when you do it from that place, not just for the individual who's like, plotting away, but for the other person as well, because it's like they might be genuinely thinking, okay, all they wanted is your forgiveness, and then you claim to give it to them only under the disguise of I'm gonna get you. It's like, oh, okay. It's not easy. Like from our parents to our teachers, like in the early stages of our formative years, people don't really forgive you. Do you know what I mean? It's like you're punished for your mistakes. You're told that, oh, well, you're stupid. Why would you do that? Why would you make that mistake? You're stupid. You're worthless. You're dumb. Like, people get those kind of words flung at them. Mm-hmm. Like, from, like simple mistakes of maybe you didn't study for an exam or a test, or you turned up late to school, whatever. And people berate and shame you into hopefully being a better citizen of the world. Like, if I call you like derogatory names, then hopefully you'll get your shit together and be like a nice human being. It's like, I don't understand how that logic works.
That is true, because people do that. I mean, I know it's common in sports, kind of like competitive areas, where people really do believe that the more I insult you, it's going to make you stronger. You're going to be grateful for everything I've told you about. Listen, guys, let me tell you something. Angelique threatened to beat up my voice a couple days ago.
Beat up who? So what was that? Your inner voice, yes.
My inner voice. Because, we all do. And I definitely had a bad voice that day.
Tell them why, Reggie. Don't just fling it out there that I was looking to commit violence on you for no reason. Context, Reggie. Give them context.
I was scared for my life.
Well, since he won't admit it, he was telling me about, like, he hadn't been to the gym recently, and then he just was horrible to himself. He was swearing at himself. He was like, dumbass Reggie, shit. And I was like, Ross, okay, why are you talking to yourself like that? And I basically took umbrage on his behalf. I was like, listen, you're my friend. You don't talk to yourself like that. People don't talk to my friends like that, so why are you talking to yourself like that? And I said, if you continue talking to yourself like that, I'm going to come over and whip your ass because I'm offended on your behalf. That's what I said. Context, Reggie. Talking about I'm just going to come over and whip your ass for no reason. I'm crazy, but I'm not that kind of crazy, people.
So I had to change my voice. My inner voice.
For fear of my safety.
No, but it's good. And I think a lot of people don't have that. They don't have somebody to where when that inner voice is really starting to talk to them like that, they're really starting to lose their confidence in themselves. Or, like we mentioned earlier, how people will step out of character and become somebody that they're not, trying to appease and win the forgiveness of other people. They're shaming themselves to the point to where they're actually starting to consider, like, well, is life worth it? Am I worth it? You're like, I'm hopeless. You need somebody like that to threaten your inner voice, to kind of wake you up. Like, listen, don't talk to yourself like that. Don't do that. And like when she did it to me, she was very sincere and serious. And, but it really did make me think like, wow, you know, I need to be a little more forgiving of myself. And she hit on a good point. For you guys don't know, like, you guys hear us here, but we are human outside of here.
Yes.
You know, it's like, I can be a bit of a workaholic.
Is that an understatement, Reggie? Are you understating for comedic purposes?
So she was like, check, like, it's like, what are you doing this weekend? You know, working on the podcast, working on the website. Do you do any fun?
Yeah, it was like, dude, I meant for fun. I didn't ask what work you're doing. What the hell? It's the freaking weekend. Hello? I get it though, like that, and it's necessary to have people that can be your counterbalance sometimes. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Check yourself before you wreck yourself. You know, it's necessary, but self-talk. Well, that voice, you know, that voice that I threatened to beat up was basically it's an inner gremlin. Do you know what I mean? That just kind of like whispers away at you and eats away at you and allows you to kind of like talk to yourself in that way in the hopes of motivating you, because it's like. To give you guys more context, Reggie wasn't just talking badly by himself. He was saying it as a way to motivate himself to get himself back into the gym and focused on working out. And that's what I mean. We've come from a society where our way to motivate our young people is to shame them and insult them into being more focused and disciplined and motivated. Now, for certain individuals, they might respond to that. I am someone who responded to that. My dad was quite military. He's quite militant. A typical sort of Caribbean man. He's born in 1939, so that, you know, them motherfuckers don't play no games. You know, we're like beat the child first, ask questions later type. You know what I mean? Generation. And so me personally, I kind of responded to that. I am someone that likes a bit of tough love. I'm a tough love giver myself, but too much of that, especially if it's too intense, is not good for anybody, regardless. And some people don't respond to that at all, and they buckle underneath it. And that's why, remember, we were speaking earlier this week, Reggie, about how there's such a high suicide rate amongst our young teens at the moment, because this generation is a lot more emotive. They feel more. And so the usual because teen pressure when your school years is normal. Like, you get that everyone wants to fit in. You want to be the cool kid. You don't want to be singled out for being different. That's like a passage of time, no matter the generation. But I feel like this current generation, they're a little bit more, they feel things a lot harder than maybe we did. I don't know. But this whole level of, you know, this whole level of slut shaming, body shaming, sex shaming, they don't know how to process it. And then, like, where we're beating up on each other and shaming each other and sharing these images across the World Wide Web, which lasts forever now, it's like there's no escaping your mistakes as well. Because do you remember when you made a mistake at school? You might get teased about it that day, Reggie. Mm-hmm. Maybe the next day, but then kids would move on to the next dumb thing a different kid did, right? Now, if a kid does something dumb or has an embarrassing moment at school, that shit is recorded for all time and then released on the World Wide Web, and then you're turned into a meme. Do you see what I mean? Like, you literally can't escape it. Like, you can Google someone's name and a meme that someone's made up about you is there permanently. So they definitely have to deal with maybe a different level of teen pressure than we've ever had to. And as a result, where we're still not teaching society and our kids how to maybe love themselves and be kinder to themselves, it gets to the point where they can't deal with all the shaming and the bullying, so they feel their only option is suicide. And it's a shame to think that a human being feels like their only option to get away from that level of self-hate and hate being poured at them is to die. And it's like, if we don't pay attention to these things, it's dangerous. It's dangerous. Like, as adults, we have to do better. We have to lead by example, and we have to show the younger generation what it looks like to be a self-confident person who loves themselves and is compassionate to themselves and is kind to themselves, because they look to us. Like, we forget that we're the ones that are like showing them this is what it means to be an adult.
And that's true. Yeah. That's absolutely true. We live in a world of labeling now. Everybody is labeled.
Yeah.
And it's just, and these labels, they stick. And like you said, with social media, it's there forever.
for all time.
For all time. It's there. And, I don't think like people, because it's sort of a sad point, but a few years ago, a 9-year-old girl in Alabama actually committed suicide because she was being bullied in the school. She went home and hung herself.
You see?
It's like, I don't think we consider the fact of how we start to shame other people, how we start labeling other people, how this stuff stick emotionally, how it attacks them, to where, like you said, they just feel like that's my only way out is to die.
Yeah, it's hard, and that's what I mean about as adults we have the responsibility, whether you have children or not. It's like you have the responsibility first and foremost to yourself, and then if you're a parent or you're around young people, or often to them, to make sure that you are displaying what it means to be a healthy, happy, wholehearted living person. And Brene Brown's books definitely has been teaching me how to be more wholehearted with myself. So be kinder to myself. Don't beat up on myself. Congratulate myself for every kind of step I take in my life. Like, no matter how big or small that step is, congratulate the hell out of it, and just be more understanding of myself. Like, my favorite line from hers is, "It's not good or bad, it just is." Like, be more accepting of myself. Yeah, because we love to, like you said about labels, this is good. This is great. This is amazing. That's shit. You're shit. That's bad. You're horrible. And it's like, it's not good or bad. It is. We are human beings. We are the full range of the bloody spectrum at any one point in our lives. And you have to learn to accept that and be okay with the ebb and flow of who you are and how you evolve. And just, if you do trip up and make a mistake, say, you know what I mean? Oopsie daisy, that's all right. Dust yourself off. You've got this. We're going to learn. We're going to keep going. And I think if you're able to practice that genuinely for yourself, and then also encourage that of our young people, just let them know it's okay. Do you know what I mean? Like, no matter what people throw at you or what they say about you or the mistakes they may make as they're growing, that doesn't mean they're worthless now, that they don't deserve to be here, they don't deserve to live. There's an affirmation tape. I love me some affirmations, Reggie. Gotta love a good affirmation. And one of the ones that I heard in the last month or so that I say often is, I am worthy of living a life that does not require. I am worthy of receiving love and living a life that does not require me to suffer first.
I like that.
Yeah, because we often feel like you said, I need to get other people's acceptance. I need to bend over backward to appease people if I've made a mistake. I need to fit in. It's like, no, human beings, by the very fact that you're here and alive and present on this planet, you are worthy of receiving love and living a life that does not require you to suffer first. That's all of ours right. It doesn't matter where you're from. That is a right that you had for being alive. And that often gets forgotten. And now we've got to jump through hoops to please people, or we've got to jump through hoops to fit in. And if not, shame. It's like that scene from Game of Thrones when they stoned Cersei Lannister and they were chucking rocks at her and they were screaming, shame, shame. Like, that's what happens the moment, oh my God, I display that I'm a human being and I made a mistake. Shame. Like, what? When did we become in this society where you couldn't display the real you, or display the fact that, oh, wait, I wake up with a crusty face, my hair isn't always perfect, and oh, guess what? I make mistakes sometimes.
Exactly.
When did that happen? When did we get there, Reggie? Because I didn't sign up for that bullshit. I'll tell you that for free.
But that's true. It's like, I see people now, it's like, if you post something, just saying how you feel,
oh my God,
people attack you. It's like, oh, I didn't like that Beyonce song. What? You're a horrible person. You don't know nothing. It's like, oh my God, it's my opinion. It's like, you can't even have an opinion these days.
Oh my God, no. What do you mean you have an opinion, Reggie? Don't you know you're a robot? And you must blend in with society? What do you mean you don't like Beyonce? Get out of here. Shame.
Yeah, and I'm really not a Beyonce fan. I'm not saying she can't sing, but like, that's my preference. And to be shamed because I feel like another singer is a better singer than Beyonce, it can send, like you said earlier, it can put a person into where they're like, you know what? I'm just going to withdraw and just go into my own little exile.
Right.
Because I can't deal with that.
Yeah.
So now I lose my voice.
Ah, that's a really good, I like that. You end up losing your voice. First of all, you've just lost half your listenership by keep talking about Beyonce before I let you know. Your podcast just went, and the Simply Straight Talk podcast has bombed. I hope people are like, oh no, he didn't say that about Queen Bee.
That is what they say too. Oh my God.
And I'm a Beyonce fan, so I'm quite offended. I'm joking. Or am I? Yeah. No, this is true though. It's like you lose your voice. And again, you have a right to your voice. You have a right to think, feel, believe what you want. Not everyone needs to agree with you. There are over, 9 billion people on this bloody planet? You can't please everybody. You know what I mean? Like, I think if you act from a place of self-love and compassion to yourself and genuinely act from that place, you'll extend it outwardly and you'll act according to that. And, the people that you vibes with, those are the people you focus on. You stay in your lane and you focus on the people that get on with you and understand you and you understand them. Everyone outside of that is just white noise as far as I'm concerned. That doesn't mean I wish them harm or wish them, bad things. No, I send love out to everybody, but I do not have the capacity to be everybody's friend or to, entertain and please everybody. I don't. Life's too short and I don't have enough time in the day to do that. And neither would I want that responsibility or that pressure either, to be honest. This is why I take my hat off to any person who's of a celebrity, status. Mm-hmm. Because to be in the public eye like that, hey, comes with some, do you know what I mean? Terms and conditions.
Yeah. Not
for me. I'm all right. Like, I'm okay that I get to walk down the street to, get my pint of milk in my crusty-eyed state and I'm not all perfected with my hair and my makeup. Like, they can't even do something simple as that without the paparazzi going, oh my God, Beyonce's having a breakdown. Look at her. She's not wearing any makeup. Maybe she just wanted to go down the road without makeup today. Like, what the hell was going on? I couldn't live a life like that. I take my hat off to them, honestly. Couldn't do that life. Could you be a celebrity?
Oh, I know.
Would you ever want to be famous, sort of say? 'Cause I don't really like the word celebrity. Would you ever want to be famous, well known?
You know what? Because you know how I am. The fact that I just don't hang out with a lot of people, like Michael Jackson's level of fame.
Oh my God.
Was ridiculous.
Yeah.
And to me, like, let's be honest, people are draining. They are energy drainers. And to be a celebrity or famous and have to go out constantly talking, constantly giving autographs, constantly performing, constantly doing interviews, at some point, I know I'll just be like, listen, y'all can go to hell. I'm tired. Don't ask me no more questions.
Suck it.
Yeah, I answered that question 2 minutes ago. Don't answer no more questions. I don't think I will want that life.
I think you'd be considered a diva, Reggie. You'd be up there with Mariah Carey's and Naomi Campbell's. I want only white in my room and white doves. And don't look me in the eye when you are talking to me.
Oh.
No, I don't blame you. I think, nowadays there's not enough compassion for ourselves, the individual, or for other people. And as a result, we're looking at the world through this lens of judgment. There's a lot of judgment. But the reason there's a lot of judgment because there's a lot of self-judgment. Like, how we treat other people is just simply a reflection of how we treat ourselves often. So if you find that you're constantly criticizing someone or you always have an opinion about other people, what they're doing, it's because that's how you are towards yourself. Do you know what I mean? I always believe that our outer world is simply a reflection of your inner world. So if you're not able to accept that that person has, dye pink vibrant hair and has 100 facial piercings, and that person over there wants to wear suits all day long or whatever, do you know what I mean, or lives their life on a caravan boat or whatever, it's simply because you are very kind of judging of yourself. And again, it's because we're not taught how to have more self-compassion. Because forgiveness, as much as it's nice, I will say this, I might be a bit controversial here. As much as it's nice to get forgiveness from the other person if you've hurt somebody, and it is, what's more important is, do you forgive yourself? How do you see yourself? Because some people may never give you forgiveness as much as you might seek it. It's not always a given thing that someone's going to forgive you. You have to continue with or without that person's forgiveness. And the only way you can continue in life and move forward is if you forgive yourself. So for me personally, as much as it's nice to get the forgiveness from the person that maybe you've hurt or upset, what's more important is, how are you towards yourself? Are you forgiving of yourself? Do you truly accept the fact that I'm a flawed human being that is sometimes going to make mistakes, and that doesn't define me. It's just something I need to learn from. I feel like that's actually more important when it comes to forgiveness. Because like I said, it's not a guarantee that other person's going to forgive you as much as you would love to receive that. And sometimes someone can forgive you, but if you've not forgiven yourself, Reggie, it means shit anyway.
Excellent point.
Right?
Excellent
So first and foremost, you must learn to forgive yourself so that if someone does choose to forgive you, you can also accept that as well. Otherwise, it's all just going into an empty hole and out the other side. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah. Because I think a lot of people, that's probably what most people struggle with, is forgiving themselves. Because you can start to wonder, like, how did I let myself get into this situation? Why did I get involved with this person? Why did I make this decision? Or why didn't I start thinking early? Or, you just start going over things in your mind till you just beating yourself up till you just never forgive yourself.
Yeah. You lose all sense of yourself. And I can definitely speak from my own past. Growing up with a mother who, had a drinking problem, I didn't have the best of female role models. She was actually a very intelligent woman, very bright, extremely charismatic, but she had her own demons and shames and things that she obviously went through before I was ever born that she didn't know how to process. So I witnessed someone who drowned their shame and their pain in alcohol. And my dad is probably one of my favorite people, but he can be hard to deal with. He's a very complex being, as we all are, to be fair. So my childhood was often, a bit of a tumultuous one. I'll just say that. So I didn't really have the most healthiest of examples of what it meant to learn to love yourself and forgive yourself, and be okay with whatever pains and traumas or whatever you receive in life. So it's taken me until now, and I'm still working on it, to learn to be okay with me and the fact that I can't be perfect, and the fact that it's okay. Your mistakes don't define you. Try your best to learn from them. Try your best to do better for yourself, because then by extension, I will do better for those who I love around me. Because if you don't forgive yourself, you're never going to be the best version of yourself for those people that you love. Do you know what I mean? And that's what's more important, because you have to live in your head. You have got to walk around with you. You've got to look yourself in the mirror every day, not anyone else. And if you're not good with you genuinely, it tends to mean you're living life on repeat, and you keep making the same mistakes and keep hurting the same people. But more importantly, you keep hurting yourself until there's nothing left of you. You're just chopping away at pieces of yourself.
Exactly.
So you've got to learn to kind of forgive yourself and genuinely be compassionate to yourself and say it's not good or bad, it just is. And you are worthy of a love and life that does not require you to suffer first.
That was so beautifully said.
Well, thank you. I'd like to thank the Academy and my mom and dad. And James. I love my boyfriend, James. I know, I'm a fucking idiot. I know. Goofy motherfucker.
Oh, man. You gotta be goofy sometimes.
You gotta be goofy. I mean, I'm all for deep chats as we are having now, but I'll always break it up with a random piece of levity at the end for no reason, just because. Because fuck it, why not?
Exactly. People need to do that more.
Yeah, as the Joker said, why so serious? Want to know how I got this smile, Reggie? Yeah. Dark Knight references for all my movie fans. Yeah, you've got to learn to be good with yourself, people. Like, be kind to yourself, be compassionate to yourself, and learn to forgive yourself, because that's ultimately what matters, because it's not a guarantee if someone forgives you. You would like it, and I would implore people to practice more forgiveness of themselves and other people, because it's a release for all parties involved. But first and foremost, learn to be compassionate with yourself, and remember, if you've got children, they're watching you, because it's through you saying to yourself, it's all right, I'll learn, I'll do better next time. You've got this, I've got this. When a child is going to school and they're being bullied for, I don't know, not being good at maths or not being good in athletics or sports, they can say, that's okay. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not perfect. I got this. And they'll be able to rebuff those type of kind of bullying, shaming moments and know that it doesn't define them.
Exactly. Because a lot of things that we are saying to the young kids, they are making that as that's how they're defining themselves.
Yeah.
By our words, what we tell them.
Mm-hmm. I mean, we've always done that anyway, especially when you're young, because you're still forming your identity. And That's why it's called the formative years, because you're forming yourself, and you form yourself from what people constantly say about you, or what you see other people kind of reflect back to you. You kind of mimic that. So just be sure, if you do have kids, to make sure that you're giving off an image of a wholehearted, authentic, self-loving image, so that that's what they mimic back for themselves, and that's what they'll carry with them in like future lives and situations and circumstances. But yeah, forgiveness and shame, it's a hard subject. You know, I would say to your listeners, are you listening? Look at the things that maybe you feel ashamed about, that you've buried deep, and ask yourself, have you truly forgiven yourself for those things, or have you just buried it? Are you just hiding it in a box? Have you? And if you say you've forgiven yourself, have you truly done that? Or have you gone, yeah, I forgive myself, whatever, swept it under the carpet? Or have you kind of told yourself that it's okay, given yourself that mental hug, and found ways to kind of learn from past mistakes and choices? You know? That's my homework for you, listeners. Let me know in the comments what you feel about shame and forgiveness. I'm acting like I run the Simply Straight Talk podcast, but what I mean is, let Reggie know, and then he'll let me know. Yeah, this is a good subject. Do you enjoy talking about it?
I enjoyed this subject. This is a really good subject. Really good subject, because it touches on a lot.
Yeah, more than we can cover in like the kind of the time slot that we have. You know, I would love to keep talking, people, but I got shit to do.
Yeah. Like, this would definitely deserve a part 2.
Oh, yeah. Oh, okay. I'm going to encourage your listeners. Is there any sort of questions or things that you feel we didn't cover in this topic of shame and forgiveness that you would want us to talk about in the part 2? Let us know, and me and Reggie can, you know. Yeah.
There you go.
Talk about it. Send us your scenarios, your questions, or whatever things or views that you'd like us to kind of talk about on shame and forgiveness further in part 2 of the show.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, I think so. Let's get some listeners involved. You know, but acting like it's just me, you on the island, and that's it. On this podcasting island. But it was a pleasure. Thank you for letting me take over. Whoop whoop. I just have to do it one more time. That's my whoop whoop Tourette's. Just randomly bursts out at random moments. It's great.
Oh man, no.
Try doing on an empty train and scare people. Like when there's only a few people, just do it. Just on a quiet carriage, just do that noise, and then just go back to reading. It's the most hilarious thing. I've done it before on purpose.
Oh my God, people can be doing that on TikTok. Angelique said, "Go whoop whoop loud."
Just do it really loud in like a library or like a random peaceful quiet. It's so funny when you watch people's faces, because they look at you, especially if you go whoop whoop and then just go back to reading your book very quickly. People were like, "No, I swear it was her. Was it her? I'm not crazy. I heard someone go whoop whoop." I dare you, listeners. I dare you.
Oh, okay, everybody. As always, thank you guys for tuning in, and thank you always, Angelique. I always tell her, just come on back. Just listen. She has an open door policy. Just anytime.
You're gonna regret it.
Like
Shouldn't
anytime.
say things like that.
I would never tell her no. Now, before we go, guys, listen. Angelique has a website that you guys definitely need to check out. When the Phoenix Rises.
Yes, but the address is Phoenix. Oh God.
Oh my God! Come on.
I don't know. It's phoenixrises.online. You know why I don't remember? Because I wanted whenthephoenixrises.com and it was gone. So I'm still stuck on that. And I'm just rejecting the website name that I do have. So it is www.phoenixrises.online, and it's kind of like my creative portfolio site, right? So I've got all my video poetry on there. I started getting into poetry recently, so I've got video poems on there, written poems. I've got my photography of all the different countries I've been to, and yeah, I'm going to be launching a merchandise store for the Phoenix brand. So come on over, have a checkout, subscribe to the website, and those who subscribe will get a 10% off discount code for when the merchandise store. And yeah, and Reggie's very kindly become a subscriber, haven't you?
Yeah, I sure have.
Yeah, he's seen the website. What did you think of it? Be nice now.
No, seriously, guys, listen. This website, it has some of the most beautiful photos of places that she's traveled. And what I love about it, it's a very empowering website. When you see the photos and then you hear the poetry, she does these beautiful poems that she has written, and she adds music and videos to the background. I'm telling you, check it out. You're gonna love it. It is a beautiful website. It's empowering, men and women. You're gonna love the site, and it's gonna make you want to travel, which we talked about that before. You guys need to travel, but see some of the places and seeing them through the eyes in which she does. She's so good at taking photos of sites that you'll probably just walk by. She has a great eye for just getting just a nice photos of just great architecture, landscaping. It's beautiful. Check it out. I love the website.
Oh, you're going to make me blush, good sir. Good sir, you're making me blush. Thank you, seriously, thank you, guys. And anyone who chooses to visit, whether you subscribe to or not, I appreciate anyone who passes through my little land. It's basically my big-ass picture book for me, myself, and I that I decided to share out to the world. So, yeah, come on through. That's the phoenixrises.online. This was a pleasure. Thank you for having me on the show. As always. Now I'm going to take my black ass to work. That's right, people. We are real human beings, and I have a J-O-B. Because if you want to be with me, nothing going on but the rent. Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. All right, guys. We will catch you guys next Friday. You guys stay tuned. We have more shows and everything coming up. And surprise coming up later in the week.
Ooh.
So thank you for being here.
Peace.
Thanks for joining us this week on the Simply Straight Talk podcast. Make sure you visit our website at rmviagem.com, where you can subscribe to the show on iTunes, Libsyn, SoundCloud, or Spotify, so you'll never miss a show. While you're at it, if you found value in the show, we'd appreciate a rating on iTunes, or if you'd simply tell a friend about the show, that will help us out too. Thank you, and see you next week.